1 week out until you see us all in the flesh and you can prove that Dan's head really is that shiny, and despite appearances, Dave is not a mythical creature. This is Utter Punts. What am I working with? Dan, you have to take a finger.
I feel for you all.
If you can do that, you'll only lose by 20.
Into week 11, the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. Dave's Vikings might actually be good. My Giants continue to be terrible, and the Ravens' mighty defense that Dan's been prattling on about for weeks has sprung a rather monstrous leak.
It's incredibly boring.
How is that boring?
Carry on.
Shut up, you. If anybody mentions Taylor Swift, it's a straight red card and a 2-pod ban.
We got everything right last week. Yeah, cruised it last week.
Pretty sure I only got one wrong.
Professional, one wrong.
Unbelievable. I tell you what, it's Harry. With me in Manchester, he's the Mary Poppins bag of NFL aficionados, big enough to swallow a floor lamp, appears to have a bottomless pit of knowledge, and comes in a rather fetching array of floral patterns. Spit Spot, come on Dan, say hello.
Hello.
Well, that'll do perfect. Down the line in Birmingham, he's our resident Vikings fan, like a kid, sneaking downstairs at 1 a.m. on Christmas Day to try and catch a glimpse of Santa Claus. He stuck his head around the living room door and found Joshua Dobbs wrapped up in a bow and Kirk Cousins' Achilles in a lovely teak display cabinet for posterity. Evening, Keno.
Like a trophy, mate. Like a trophy.
On the way, more details about the Bierkeller show on Thanksgiving. That's next week. We'll look ahead to the weekend's games and give you some helpful tips to make sure you stand the best chance on the Fantasy Game Day app. In association with Bierkeller and endzonekit.co.uk, this is Utter Punts. Hello, good evening, welcome along. This is... I'm not going to sing the jingle. That's a terrible idea. We are, however, all in training, punts in training, ready for our Bierkeller show, which is less than a week away now. Essentially, in a week's time, we will have started. We'll be in the middle of the games, and it's going to be absolutely brilliant. If you haven't got your tickets yet, you absolutely need to do that. Head to the Utter Punts socials or to the Bierkeller socials, and you'll find your way to the Eventbrite link. The tickets are a tenner, but they also come with a free drink if you're a paying adult. If you're a student, and I cannot stress this enough, if you're a student, their tickets are £5 and you still get the free drink. You'd be absolutely mad not to. And when I tell you, giveaways, prizes, chances to win more booze, more food over the course of the evening, completely free of charge, you would be absolutely nuts to miss out. We cannot wait to see you. Bierkeller Manchester next Thursday, Thanksgiving. It's going to be great.
Yeah, potentially the greatest football game not related to football in the history of football games not related to football.
You mean one of the games that we are playing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not going to give anything away, are you?
Nope.
Good. I agree. Keno, you must be looking forward to it too. It means you get to come up here. And we can give a sneak peek. You're coming up a little bit early, aren't you? Because we've got a special guest potentially on the podcast coming in the next couple of weeks, Keno.
Well, potentially. Just in case, something happens, a cat dies, an old friend comes from out of town, something like that.
COVID.
Yeah, you never know what might happen, really. But yeah, should be something really good happening Wednesday night, bit of the night before. Live show, Manchester Bierkeller. Come and meet Dan, come and meet Liam. They're great people. I don't want to meet you. But anyway... Sorry.
At this juncture, I just need to explain why Keno's in the mood that he's in. Normally, we start recording at 8 o'clock, all right? I'm going to tell you that right now, it's 8:22. We've only just started, okay? And the reason for this is that Keno has been in a physical altercation with his green screen. And I don't mean a small adjustment. I mean... kicking the living shit out of his green screen because it wasn't doing what he wanted it to do. Somehow, he's portraying a level of calm that certainly was not there 6 minutes ago.
I do not know what you're on about. Just make all these stories, mate. Look at me.
Yeah.
Cool, calm,
Fortunately...
professional. That wasn't being recorded, was it?
Yep, no, it absolutely was, and it'll be out on the socials in the next couple of days. Let's move on to the news, shall we? Dan, you're going Patriots again.
Well, yeah, I mean, it goes from bad to worse, doesn't it? So this week, and it starts off with them saying that they want to be Germany's team. Okay, so they played in Germany this week, and a bit like the Jaguars have done with the UK, the Patriots have made a real push. They've invested quite a lot of money to become Germany's team. Obviously, there's going to be games in Germany as well. So they had Sebastian Vollmer, ex-player, who's obviously German. He's there, and they're investing quite a lot of money in it, and it's an absolute mess when they've arrived. They've arrived without one of the players who they left at home, JC Jackson, who they only traded for 2 weeks ago to get from the Chargers. Didn't make it to the team facility, so was then dropped for the next game. Wow. Then didn't make it, and now he's basically been put on the trade block, on the waiver wire. They just want rid of him, and they only brought him in 2 weeks ago.
Jeepers.
Jack Jones, their cornerback, also didn't make it to training on time. Didn't make it to the team facility, but did make training, so he was just missed the first half of the game. Then they let him come in and play. Mac Jones was benched with one line to play. They brought us Bailey Zappi in. Bailey Zappi does a fake spike, and then some of the best commentary, I think, of the season, where the commentator said he threw it to a Indianapolis Colts defensive end meeting. There was no pitch anywhere near him, and then interviewed after the game. Matt Jones has clearly lost the dressing room. They don't really want to play for him. He's interviewed after the game. What do you think? Well, I can't really say what I want to say. It's just an absolute mess. And then it comes out there's a ranking this week of NFL coaches and their pay, and Belichick's the highest paid coach in the game.
Wow,
by some way. Second up, there's Sean Payton's
legacy payments, surely.
Won the most Super Bowls.
Yeah, legacy payments.
He won't win anymore, will he?
No.
So then I looked at a stat, and I found one, which was in the 20 years that Tom Brady was the quarterback of the Patriots, they lost 66 games in 20 years.
Jeepers.
Since he left 4 years ago, they've lost 33.
Wow.
So I think the argument that used to be of is it Brady or Belichick, chicken and the egg, I think we know, don't we?
Yeah, it's now been
Shocking.
made clear.
Germany's team.
They're a mess, aren't they? Patriots at the minute, Dave?
Yeah, but isn't it a lot of fun for everybody else, to be honest with you? I mean, I know Dan hates them far more than I do. I mean, Tom Brady, what a legend, involved with other sports teams now, which hopefully he can help fix at some point. But
has he not broken it already?
It depends on whether or not Wayne Rooney was his appointment or not. But let's face it, it probably wasn't. It was probably a very well-meaning Blues fan who thought that raising the profile of the club is the equivalent to making the club better on the pitch. I've got news for you, Gary Cook, it isn't. But anyway, enough of that. We're here to talk about sport.
How did we get there?
A modicum of success, not where depression lies. So yeah, I mean, the Patriots are an absolute. There's not many phrases you can use for what Patriots are without.
But let's just put it out there. It's a shit show.
It's a horrendous thing that's going on there. It was the point Dan made. I think it was last week when you said they should have been trading away players at the deadline. But who do they have to trade?
There's no one to trade away.
The dearth of talent there is quite ridiculous. And again, I think they did get something in with Mac Jones, and I think they've ruined him. I think they've broken him. Just got hold of that toy and started pulling it about, trying to make it do things that it wasn't designed to do, and lo and behold, the arms have come off your action man, haven't they? So yeah, one of those things, but couldn't happen to a nicer team. I mean, the whole Boston Tea Party is something I still hold a grudge about.
Wow. I'm going to move on before we go down a route that I really don't want to be going down. Dave, you get to go again if you could. If you could. Wow, he's brought the squeaky chair back to the party as well. This is my favourite. What's your news of the week, Dave?
I think it's the fact that Frank Reich has gone back to play calling, having given it up after 6 games, only to allow 3 different games occurred. I think it was 15 points, 13 points, 13 points, and now he's decided he's taking play calling back, which is well done for doing that. You lost your first 6 games. Your offensive coordinator actually won a game. I'm not sure that's actually going to be the solution to your problem, but I've got a feeling it's probably something you were worried about with Dave Tepper or Pepper or whatever his name is in charge.
All salty.
Yeah, all salty, mate. A little bit salty.
But she's real good.
Yeah. I'd do whatever he told me to do as well, just to keep my job. But quite frankly, you've now picked a quarterback you didn't want it. Now you're making decisions about how the team is going to be organised. If you lose your job, it's because you haven't stood your ground. And I don't want you to, Frank, right? Because I think you did a great job with the Colts, an underrated job with the Colts. And I don't want you to lose your job, but if you don't stand up to a man who's making terrible decisions and thinks he knows better, even though he doesn't, that's what's going to happen.
Fair. I feel like this game might be a little bit lost on people, given that there's a feeling, there's a sense of palpable tension on the podcast, and I'm really worried that if I ask Dave the wrong question, something might go flying.
Man, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
Just one point on Frank Reich is his last 20 games, he's got a record equivalent to Brian Daboll, who's the coach of the year. They've both been that bad. He's not the worst coach in the league by some means. And I think, are they bringing him back in just to protect Bryce Young, Dave? You know, they're basically giving up trying to win now, and they're just going to make it really conservative. That would be my instinct with it, I think.
I mean, I don't know what it is they're trying to achieve, because I think they haven't got the talent of the team to help Bryce Young win games. That's not a judgment of Bryce Young. I have my opinion on him. I think he's too small, but I'm also aware of the fact that he's actually got oodles of talent in other ways, which with the right team around him could well have helped him be a success. But it's definitely not the Carolina Panthers the way they're set up. They needed someone who was accurate, able to navigate the pocket and make an O-line look better than it is. I don't know, CJ Stroud maybe. So yeah,
Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, Josh Dobbs would have done the trick. Right, I've got a game for you. We're going to blindly rank some bits and pieces. It's a bit of a laugh. So essentially, I'm going to give you 5 items on a certain subject matter. You just have to put them in a rank, 1 to 5. 1 being the best, 5 being the worst. Dave, do you want to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so Dave's going first. I'm going to get you to blindly rank these NFL running backs. Okay?
Okay.
Current NFL running backs.
Okay.
First one out the list, Derrick Henry. 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5?
2.
Ooh, Derrick Henry in at 2. Saquon Barkley, 1, 3, 4 or 5 you've got left?
4.
Oh, blimey, Charlie. Miles Sanders is your next one.
5.
Oh, quick fire from you. David Montgomery next. You've got 1 and 3 available.
3.
It's almost like you saw it coming, because the last one is CMC. Number 1 for CMC. More to follow on Christian McCaffrey a little bit later in this Utter Punts podcast. You'll have to wait and figure out exactly where that's going to be. I'll give you a clue at the end. Dan, you have to blindly rank these NFL coaches.
Sneaky, okay.
Okay, first one out the bag is Andy Reid.
Oh, 1.
Okay, you're going to put Andy Reid at number 1.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick is the second one out of the hat. 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. You've already taken 1, so 2, 3, 4 or 5. 5. Okay. Sean Payton is the
4.
next one.
Yeah, easy.
4. MCDC, Motor City Dan Campbell.
I'll put him 3.
Dan Campbell's going in at 3, which leaves the final one, Mike McDaniel.
Oh, yeah, that'll do.
Mike McDaniel at 2. So just to recap those, blindly rank NFL coaches: Andy Reid number 1, Mike McDaniel number 2, Dan Campbell number 3, Sean Payton number 4, Bill Belichick number 5. That's not a bad list. I think if you'd have had your way, you might have put Mike
Payton
McDaniel
last.
top.
No, I put Andy Reid's the best coach.
All right, okay, good. And in terms of the running backs, CMC was number 1, Derrick Henry number 2, David Montgomery number 3, Saquon 4, Miles Sanders 5. You pleased with your lists, boys?
Yeah, I'd swap Payton and Bill, I think, over. What other than that?
Yeah, there might have been maybe a change with Saquon and Montgomery, but not at the moment. Montgomery's playing magnificent, so yeah, it seems to stack up. Nailed it.
Absolutely.
I feel like
love
nailed it.
Yeah. More to come on the podcast as we go through it. We'll talk about Fantasy Game Day in a minute. But first, I wanted to talk to you about our lovely friends at endzonekit.co.uk. They are part of this event that we're doing at Bierkeller next week. There might be, maybe, potentially giveaways, prizes provided by endzonekit.co.uk. Look, rather than me waxing lyrical, here's the ad. Here at Utter Punts, we're delighted to be partnered with endzonekit.co.uk, one of the best kit suppliers out there. Whatever you're looking for to represent your American sports team, Endzone has got something for you. In sizes from newborn all the way up to 3XL and larger, endzonekit.co.uk can provide gear to fulfill your NFL, NCAA, MLB, NHL and NBA needs. Endzone source their stock in the USA, they ship it over here too, which means delivery is lightning quick and can be with you ahead of the big game. And if you love a bit of retro style, Endzone's got you covered too, with a whole range of vintage and pre-loved kit for you to choose from. So why not head to endzonekit.co.uk and find yourself a bargain. And because you listen to Utter Punts, you can have a 15% discount at checkout when you use the code PUNTS. endzonekit.co.uk, the place to go for American sports kit. I am mega proud of myself for not interrupting that advert, which I do every single time. I am growing and developing as a human being. Stock Game would be next. However, given that there's not an awful lot of change, Dan's still leading, Dave's in second and I'm in last place, I think we'll just skip over it and we'll move on to the Fantasy Game Day app. If you didn't know, we've got a new partner on Utter Punts, and if you sign up for the Fantasy Game Day app using the code PUNTS, you will get a free entry once you have put your first lineup in. This is for UK fans only, so if you're outside of the UK, unfortunately, this offer isn't applicable to you, and neither is the app, but essentially it brings daily fantasy football to your smartphone. We've decided that we're going to do something every week on this, and we're trying to give you some advice and some guidance as to who you should be picking. Dave, who have you gone for this week as the absolutely must pick?
Well, I wouldn't say must pick, but a strategically viable pick, Liam, which is the way I looked at this, rather than, you've got to have this one. I went with Evan Ingram of Jacksonville.
You've gone very broadsheet there compared to my very tabloid introduction, haven't you?
Well, that's clearly the divide here. I'm more broadsheet.
Charlie. Telegraph Dave Keane.
Whoa. Politically neutral, you know this.
Sorry,
very much in the centre
Dave
ground.
Keane.
No, nobody. I stand on my own and look down on everybody else. I thought we'd established that. Yeah,
isn't that what the Independent does? No, I've got friends at the end. I didn't mean that.
Yes, you did.
I pretty much occupy the vacuum left by the BBC. That's what I do.
Yeah, I think moving swiftly on who you're picking for the Game Day app before my current employers give me absolute.
Bell's just turned his mic off.
Right, anyway, so from my position occupying the ground that the BBC vacated, I will take, making it really hard for Eddie now.
Absolutely.
Anyway, Evan Ingram of the tight end of the Jacksonville Jaguars is available for 3,800, which is, if you've looked at the app, is a small percentage of what you'd have to pay for one of your starting players. But I just feel that they're playing against Tennessee, who have struggled against a few tight ends this season, and he's actually shown to be really quite a favoured target of Trevor Lawrence as and when Etienne isn't on the field, basically. So yeah, I think Ingram can pick up a good few targets and potentially be one of his favourites in this. He should perform nicely for the value he's at, 100%.
Dan, who have you gone for?
Yeah, I've got Brian Robinson Jr. The Commanders for a couple of reasons. One, he's cheaper than Tony Pollard this week, so he's £200 cheaper than Tony Pollard. He's cheaper than David Montgomery, who's split in a backfield. And although Robinson's split in a backfield with Antonio Gibson, he's cheaper than Gibson, and he's definitely taking more of a role, certainly in the passing game. And obviously, this is a points per reception league, so those receptions, he scored a 51-yard reception touchdown last week. He's scoring points every week, and I think he's cheap. And they're playing the Giants, and with all due respect, he's going to go for a monster.
Yeah, it goes without saying. Look, you can download the Fantasy Game Day app from the Android store or the Apple store, Google Play Store, wherever you get your apps from. Don't forget, always gamble responsibly. If you feel like you need any help, head to begambleaware.org. All of the links will be in the description. On to the previews. We have only got 4 to preview this week. That doesn't mean that you can take extra time. It means that we're going to actually try and finish under an hour this week. That would be absolutely joyful for me to edit. Keno, get that look straight off your face. I know that look. And that look is I am going to make him stay awake to midnight editing this, which you've already managed to do with the previous conversation.
I do apologise. What, you're going to edit that?
Yeah, Pittsburgh's... I'm employed by them. They pay my mortgage. It's going to be quite difficult. No, it's all right. It's absolutely fine. It was the opinion of Dave, one that I wholeheartedly disagree with. I love the BBC.
You've never agreed with
always loved the BBC. Yeah. They are fantastic. Right, moving swiftly on. Let's not talk about that anymore. Pittsburgh Steelers at Cleveland Browns. Before you've had your right of reply. I've had my right of reply. Editorial standards dealt with. See, I read it. Sunday the 19th of November, 6 o'clock. Be quiet, Dave. Cleveland Browns. I can see you itching. Cleveland Browns Stadium. Pittsburgh Steelers at Cleveland. 6-3 versus 6-3. This, I want to say, could be a good game. I'm not entirely convinced, although both of these teams have come off the back of decent wins.
Yeah, it depends what type of football you like. This would be a great game for me to watch. I love this. It's very defensive heavy. Yeah, and it's a bit of a war of attrition. Obviously, Deshaun Watson being out does make a difference. So they've got the rookie quarterback starting, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who was benched after the Ravens game earlier in the season. The Ravens scrambled him completely, but they've done that to a few good quarterbacks. Jared Goff, Geno Smith, they've done that to a few. Joe Burrow at the start of the season. So I wasn't surprised. But then they brought PJ Walker in at that point, and he beat the 49ers, and he got them to a decent. He won a few games for them, and I'm surprised they've not gone back to him. But they've not. They're going with the rookie, and they must have seen something. They've obviously self-scouted. My concern with their self-scouting is that the week before the season started, they decided that Dorian Thompson-Robinson was better than Joshua Dobbs, and they let Joshua Dobbs go to Arizona for not much money, for not much of a trade capital. So how well self-scouted are they? But the Steelers are a fraud. They're an absolute fraud.
Minus 26 point differential.
Not just that. So in the history of the game, here we go.
Here
You know what's coming, don't you?
We know it's a big stat.
Teams that have been outgained in the first 9 games, I've got a combined record of 33, 152 and 4. The Steelers have been outgained in every game this season, and they're 6-3. At some point, they regress to the mean. They will lose games. I don't think the Steelers will make the playoffs. I think they're a big concern. I think the Browns are better than them normally, but they haven't got a quarterback. And the Steelers tend to drop into games where they have an advantage with someone's injury. And I think they've got the case here, and the Steelers always beat the Browns, seemingly. So,
is that some kind of motorcycle revving outside your house, Dave? It is.
Nothing I can do about that, man.
Street Hawk.
No, it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
It's probably one of the quad bikes being raced up the road.
I'm going to peel the curtain back a little bit here on how Utter Punts is made. Essentially, we've got Dan and I here. Dave is down in Birmingham, and producer Bell is just here. And all of a sudden, producer Bell and I, and you'll probably, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to go back. Producer Bell and I just gave each other the look that anybody that has worked in radio and a strange noise comes on the broadcast gives each other, which is, oh my God, what was that? But it's silent, so it's that. And it turned out that it was absolutely something that we didn't need to worry about at all, and I've made a big deal out of absolutely nothing.
Just a quad bike, mate. I think.
Just a quad bike in Birmingham.
There could be a few more.
No, wait,
and then a police car. And then another police car. I don't know.
Where were we?
Steelers are running the ball better, definitely. Their offense is starting to wake up, but the quarterback isn't very good, I don't think, and he's not really getting the ball out to his targets. So it's a low-scoring game. Both defenses are good. The Browns is the top defense in the league, and they're going to need to be here, and they're going to need to keep their team in this playoff run. I favour the Browns as a better team, but I think the Steelers always beat the Browns.
I mean, there's loads of stats on this. Steelers' rush defense is pretty terrible, tied 26th for yards per carry, tied 25th for yards per game. Steelers' pass defense, though, is top tier. They are in the top 10 for pass defense, but it makes no difference if you can't defend the run. Nope. Browns have taken 28 sacks. TJ Watt has 11 sacks this season, Dave.
He's very good. He's in one of my fantasy teams. Yeah. He's very good. Yeah.
Yes. But what do you make of this game? Anything that you want to add to what Dan said?
Yeah, so is it Dorian Thompson-Robinson, something like that? Yeah, cool. He basically got thrown in against the Ravens, and they're not an easy defence to get thrown in against. I saw an interview with him today where he was basically saying that he knows what to expect now. It's not going to be like a headless chicken out there just trying to sense what's going on. He knows what he's looking for. He knows what he's going to target. Having said that, has there ever been a 3-3 modern era NFL game?
No, I don't think so.
It's not going to be a high-scoring game. I wouldn't have thought.
No.
Both defences are going to be on top. I probably trust the second-year player that the Browns are trotting out more than I do Kenny Pickett right now. I think Pickett is severely underusing some very good wide receivers and a good tight end as well. I'm a bit confused as to why there's not been any. There doesn't seem to be much criticism anyway being put in his direction. But they've got.
Wow.
Did you hear that one?
It's like the Fast and the Furious outside Dave's house.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Sparkhill.
Birmingham Drift.
Hold on.
Going back.
I don't think they are.
Just shout Vin out your window, would you, and see if anybody turns round.
2 seconds.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Two people.
Yeah. Vin and Vin stunt double. That's what that was.
He carries on.
Crikey. Brilliant. I hope that's come through on the recording. Otherwise, we're laughing at silence, and that'd just be absolutely sensational.
Yeah. Also,
right.
True. You'll have to put something in.
Who's your picks? That's where we're going next, Dan.
Dave's right. This is the lowest total points in a game the line that there's been all year. So don't expect much from
Okay.
this. I think it's the Steelers. I think they'll have just enough, and they're well coached to make a mess of a rookie quarterback.
Dave?
So this is actually a very important game for the stock market. I've not forgotten, Dan. This is Dan
It is.
versus
It
me.
is a game, yeah.
So I'm going to go with the Browns because, like I say, I don't rate Kenny Pickett. I think the
Throwing
Browns.
good money after bad, Dave.
I've seen nice. I've seen a quarterback making a rush start come in this season and do well against a half decent defense. Yeah, I'm going to stick with the Browns. I think their defense is unbelievable, and I don't think the Steelers are going to be able to move the ball on them.
Okay.
They even stopped your run game, which they haven't been able to do previously, right, in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, with 31 points in 3 quarters, but yeah.
Wow. He's not still sore about that at all.
No.
Battle of the defences for the potential lead of the AFC North. I'm going to say let's pick TJ Watt and the 11 sacks that he's already got this season and say that might continue. So I'm going Steelers too.
How many's Garrett got?
I don't have that stat to hand. You can blame your nephew
I think
for not
9.5. I think 9.5.
comprehensive enough stat pack.
Yeah, fair. Let's not go there. Let's leave him alone.
Yeah, no, he's look.
He's blocked
big
more
credit.
field goals, though.
Ollie,
Better than me.
Ollie has been on the podcast. He stood in for Dave the other week, and we haven't been able to get rid of him, and he's been an absolute joy to have around. So you'll be seeing a little bit more of him, especially if you come into Bierkeller on Thursday to come and see us. Tickets are a tenner, £5 if you're a student, and you get free drink with that as well. Just head to the Bierkeller socials. Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the 49ers Levi's Stadium, 9:05 game on Sunday. I like the Niners. They're kind of quickly because of how terrible my Giants are. They're quickly becoming the team that I want to see do pretty well. I don't know what it is. That uniform, I think it might be that gold uniform, the white and gold uniform, which is just absolutely love it. You're just disappointed that I haven't picked the Ravens, aren't you?
Yeah, that's fine. Make a note.
That's fine.
I've got another black book, that you're going to go in if you carry on.
You're good. You're running out of space in that one. Does it just say Liam on every page?
Yeah.
Dave, how do you see this one going? So full of joy.
Yeah. Did you say the Niners were playing in this?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take them. They seem pretty decent, don't they?
Yeah.
No, they looked outstanding last week. I think who's the tackle they had back? Trent Williams.
Trent Williams,
It was that. I in a WhatsApp group that I made the point that Debo was back, and Dan made a much better point that the big thing is Trent Williams is back, and it makes such a difference to them. Every game they've lost this season, he's been out for, hasn't he? So
Yep.
it's an unbelievable difference. So yeah, I wouldn't want to be anyone facing the 49ers at the moment. I mean, they're so good that they can do things that they shouldn't do, but we'll get into that later as well.
A couple of things here about the Bucks. Their rush D's holding running backs to only 3.8 yards a carry, which is pretty good. Their pass rush in week 10, 4 sacks, 13 quarterback hits. We've seen Purdy affected a lot by being hit this season. Have they got what it would take to overcome that O-line of the Niners, the Bucks?
No, not with Trent Williams back. I just think they're too good. I think healthy, and it's a big question, healthy, the Niners are the best team in football.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I mean,
the Eagles would argue.
They can argue all they want, but if the Eagles and the Niners get to the championship game and they're both healthy, even if this is in Philadelphia, I'm taking the 49ers. That performance and a few performances, the performance against Dallas and the performance against the Jags. The Jags were on a hot streak. They'd won 5 straight, and they just weren't. They just pummeled them. They absolutely pummeled. They did this into Dallas, who are a good team. So they're beating up good teams, and healthy, they're the best team. What struck me straight away, and you knew you weren't in any doubt about who was going to win the game when walking out of the tunnel to start the game. Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, and Chase Young. And so it's like they've signed 3 new players because they were all coming back in after time off, and obviously Chase Young, new signing. Game starts with Chase Young and Nick Bosa sandwiching Trevor Lawrence on one of the first plays. The game's over. This team are frightening, and I think they're the best team. But they do get injured a lot.
All of the stories that we gave Dave last week about how Nick Bosa had stayed behind to sort of welcome Chase Young to San Francisco, and then within sort of 5 or 6 plays, they pick up a shared sack, and it was like, yeah, okay, can see where this is going. Go Buckeyes.
Yeah, it looks scary.
Exactly. Go Buckeyes, right? I mean, yeah, they shared a D-line together in college. It was deadly in college, and Chase came through after Nick had come through after Joey. I think he was also at Ohio State as well. I know he's not doing as well at the Chargers at the moment, but that Ohio State during that period had some incredible pass rushers. I mean, like, incredible. And don't forget, Chase was good enough to be taken, what was it, number 1 overall?
He was second, wasn't he? Didn't he go behind Burrow?
That's it. So the first non-QB in his draft.
Yeah.
And whilst he might be considered to have been a disappointment in Washington, he got injured. And again, like, coaching in Washington hasn't always been great. I think reuniting him with Nick, who clearly is a natural leader because everyone seems to be looking up to him. I saw similar with his brother Joey as well when he first got in the league, and the way everyone kind of gathered around him. It's just something that comes natural to that family. I imagine that they've got leaders of men in their ancestry.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree. Niners for me.
It's all love. Niners.
Niners for Dan.
Yeah, 100% Niners.
I wondered whether he was just going to not bother saying anything, as though to say, I've already picked this, why are you making me say it again?
Next week.
That's kind of what he was thinking. Right, on the way, we will give you the full preview of the other 2 TV games. We're not doing Thanksgiving because we're going to do those in the episode next week, which is coming early because of the Bierkeller event. We will also do Utter Punts of the week. We'll give you the best bets of the week. And Coaching Corner on the way next. Right, Coaching Corner, if you've got something that you would like explaining, just get in touch with us on the socials or on YouTube. Just search for Utter Punts Podcast. You'll find us everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, the artist formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. We're on Facebook. Just drop us a line, however you can find us. We'll pick that message up, and if you've got something that you want explaining, we will do our level best to do that. Whilst you're there on the socials, don't forget, like, subscribe, and tell a friend. It makes such a huge difference. If you're watching on YouTube, if you can just hit the like button, it makes a huge difference to us and being shared to wherever we need to go. So like, subscribe, hit the bell if you can, if you're on YouTube, and that'd be absolutely brilliant. Coaching Corner this week is Wildcat. And the reason for this, Dave, was that I spotted it in the Vikings game.
Oh, you saw Chandler. Yeah, so basically a Wildcat formation. Originally, I think it started in the 20s in college football, and it was like a T-wing formation or something. I saw a little thing on this a while back that I've got hazy memories of. I'm probably not getting that quite right. But I think it started in the 20s in college. And basically what it was where they were trying to get another physical threat on the pitch. So rather than having a quarterback who they don't want to get banged up, they would basically swap him out and have a running back or a wide receiver or a tight end take the ball. And that kind of evolved to the point where Wildcat formations carried on getting used where the quarterback was still on the field, and what they would do is go and assume a position out wide, like for a wide receiver. Now, the one that you saw at the weekend with the Vikings, that was a well-executed running Wildcat formation. The most famous one that I'm aware of in recent memory was it the Philly one in the Super Bowl where
the Philly special.
Yeah, the Philly special, and then I think it was same game or the following
the Patriots
year, the Patriots tried it
in the same game.
And Brady missed the catch, which
Brady looked 40 years old at the time.
It was fantastic, wasn't it? But yeah, it's the Wildcat system is just basically anyone who's taken a direct snap. Sorry?
Who made that throw to Brady? Was it the running back?
Edelman, I think.
Edelman, wide receiver.
I think so. It's normally, but he's made those passes.
He's made passes before.
Yeah, 100%.
And Brady's taken catches as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
when he's been in the league,
just like that one.
Yeah, just didn't do it when he was 14, couldn't really run. But yeah, so the Wildcat system is basically any system where someone takes the direct snap who's not actually the quarterback. But it is also the name of a 1986 American football movie starring Goldie Hawn, which is so much better than that any given Sunday.
We're not doing this. We're not doing this again. We're not doing this again. We're not. You're wrong. I'm right. End of story.
Forrest Gump.
Great movie.
What's happened in the
why have you moved the goalposts? You were Rudy all the way.
Well, I've now realised Forrest Gump's the best football movie of all time.
I've realised I need 2 new podcast hosts. That's what I need. If you're interested, you can apply by sending a message to us on our socials.
I think we should do a special on football movies.
Maybe we will.
A Rudy watch along.
Yeah.
What's interesting to know is that the more you get mobile quarterbacks, that the Ravens, for example, half their playbook is a wildcat with Lamar Jackson, not as a quarterback, as a running back. Mm-hmm. and you don't know which one it's going to be, and that's what makes these dual threat quarterbacks so dangerous. And it's evolved from the Wildcat being such a dangerous play, because whenever you can cause a defense to pause and question what's happening, you win as an offense. That's all you're trying to do as an offense. You're just giving them that pause, that minute,
Get half a second.
just a half a second where you can just make and you can get your yards. So these mobile quarterbacks now taking direct snaps, they know they're running the ball, and no one else does other than them. The line probably know, but your defense have got no idea, and it just unsettles everybody. It changes their assignments on defense quite a lot, and then they're scrambling around to get it. It just causes mayhem for them.
Right, cool. There you go. Wildcat explained. If you've got something that you would like explained, drop us a line on the Utter Punts podcast socials. Let's move on to the second part of the preview, shall we? We've mentioned young Ollie, the punt in training. Very nearly said that wrong. Very, very in trouble. He's written on my preview, Minnesota Vikings, open parenthesis, the NFL's greatest, close parenthesis, at Denver Broncos. This is Monday Night Football game, Sunday late game, Empower Field at Mile High. The Minnesota Vikings are back, aren't they? Dave, do you want to go first?
We're just fun. I can't say we're a better team than we were with Kirk, who is a very effective passer of the ball. But what we can do is different things. And also, we've got someone who tries very hard to elevate what they can do to the utmost, rather than preserving stats and limiting what they're trying to do. And it just makes it a whole different ball game. And I think the players are starting to notice. And if the players are starting to notice that suddenly it's fun to go to work again, then maybe that'll rub off on the coaching staff and the front office, and maybe I can finally escape the purgatory of Kirk Cousins.
You'll never escape. You'll never escape.
But as it is, Josh Dobbs, freaking awesome, man. Honestly, what a guy. Yeah, I mean, they are now calling him a pastor, NASA, doing a great job of making stuff up. Who'd have known it?
We're just continuing, and we've had this conversation. We had this conversation on the app, on WhatsApp, and all I said was, I am begging. Don't take space away from me. It's one of the things that gives me joy in life, no. We are not talking about it. No, I'm just going to keep making noise until we've moved on. We are definitely not taking this away from me. I love it, all right? Moving swiftly on. Russell Wilson has a 6-1 record. Just close his fader, producer Bell. I've had enough of him. Russell Wilson has a 6-1 record against the Minnesota Vikings. This is Broncos country. Let's ride.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and they beat. Listen, the last two games, I just can't get excited. I mean, listen, the Broncos have just beat the Chiefs, they beat the Bills on the road, both of them. Oh, well done, fair play. You did get smashed 70-20 by the Dolphins a few weeks ago. Let's not forget that. Listen, they seem to have turned a corner, but they're playing very much up the jumper American football. Nothing's going over 5 or 6 yards every pass. So Wilson's stats look great, because he's making lots of passes, but they're 4 or 5 yards. And listen, it's been effective, and they've won games. Well done. It's not going to get them any further than the regular season, I don't think. And you just can't root for them. I can't root for Sean Payton, and I can't root for Russell Wilson. And I'm sorry, Renee. No, I probably should.
Renee from endzonekit.co.uk.
Yeah. So for me, you're just rooting for Josh Dobbs. There was a story today. So Josh Dobbs got alopecia. So yeah, people probably know that already. But he sent a shirt today to a young kid, and it's all on the social medias. And what a guy, what a human being. And you're gonna root for them. So Sunday night, give me the Vikings, man. Let's get behind them. Come on, Skull.
I can't disagree. I just quite like the way the Vikings are going about business. I quite like Justin Jefferson. There's a potential that he's back as well, Dave, and that'd be absolutely brilliant. I quite like the how hardy they are. Didn't TJ Hawkinson play with damaged ribs?
Yeah,
torn cartilage in his ribs.
Yeah, he's probably going to be more hurt this
record
week.
Game, I think.
Unbelievable. 11 receptions, 134 yards, touchdown.
I think it's a record first half for a tight end. Yeah.
With damaged ribs. Unbelievable.
Just one more note on this, sorry, is Brian Flores. So with Dave and I at the start of the season, we said that was such a good appointment from the Vikings on the defensive side. So Dave hasn't mentioned it, but I will. He's really getting this defense round into form, and they've got no talent. They're not. No, there's no names on that defense. He's trained them up. He's coached them up. Daniel Hunter maybe, yeah, but they tried to trade him. But they have. I mean, they're all playing, and I think bringing in a character like Dobbs gives them someone to follow, and I think it brings a team together and it unites a team, and I think that's what's carried them through these games so far.
Rene is the proprietor, can almost say that, at endzonekit.co.uk. Don't forget, if you head over there and buy some kit, use the code PUNTS at checkout for 15% off. Unfortunately, you're not going to like the next 15 seconds, Rene, which is why I've mentioned you and given endzonekit.co.uk a nice big plug. Dan, who are you going for?
Broncos. Straight up. No, Broncos at home.
Are you?
Yeah. I want the Vikings to win, but they won't.
Right, okay, maybe Rene will like it more than I thought. Dave, you're going with?
It's a typical Vikings game, this, mate. Everyone's now thinking we're going to win.
Yeah, exactly. Can't quantify it, but there's no way they win this game because everyone thinks they will.
Yeah, it's Sean Payton, and like Vikings fans hate him. So everything's been going far too smoothly. So I imagine that Dobbs' Achilles blows up, and we end up bringing out. I can't remember if it's Sean Mannion or Nick Mullins who will be on the bench.
Are you picking the Broncos, Dave?
Am I picking the Broncos? Yeah, 100%. It's typical of the Vikings to lose to the Broncos at this point. In
All right.
the most horrendous way possible.
I understand how that feels as a fan, and I understand why you've gone the way that you have, because if you back against your team, then it softens the blow, and you actually don't mind as much if you roll.
No. I'm an experienced Vikings fan. I know this is how it's going to go. We'll see Monday. Monday, mate.
I'm going Vikings. Just because I think Josh Dobbs has got the it factor at the minute. Bit of magic about him.
If he gets us through against the Sean Payton team, then
Also-
I'll start to believe, and then it'll go wrong.
Also, in the nicest possible way, I just cannot stand Russell Wilson, and I can't back him.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Not
fair.
I won't be backing him.
yeah. Philadelphia Eagles at Kansas City
Oh, yes.
Chiefs. This is a belter.
Oh, yes.
Monday Night Football at a time that is inaccessible to the majority of people, which is a shame because it's actually potentially the game of the weekend. 7-2 record versus an 8-1 record. The Eagles outstanding with an 89% win ratio this season. Absolutely incredible. The Kansas City Chiefs have been scratchy at points, but have managed to fight their way to 7-2. Super Bowl rematch. Number one seed in the AFC. Number one seed in the NFC. Here we go. This is brilliant. It's got brilliant written all over it, Dave.
Only if you like the Eagles. Don't like the Eagles. Really do not like the Eagles.
We're doing that Holly impression again.
Yeah, I was going to say,
they're far too
would
good.
punching your green screen make you feel better, mate?
We did earlier. No, in all honesty, the Eagles are so good at the moment, it's ridiculous. I know what Dan was saying earlier, and I kind of agree with it when you look at starting 11s, but the depth on the Eagles is frightening. They can carry injuries so much better than anybody else. And more than anything, whilst the receiving core for the Chiefs is apparently playing better, and it does look to be as well. I think Rashee Rice, he's coming through looking like a nice little player, and the others are starting to step back up to an expected level of performance. But the Eagles just look so physically dominant in the trenches, and that's where I think the Chiefs are going to struggle. I don't like the Chiefs O-line. I don't like the signing they made at a tackle in the off season, and then made him switch sides as well, right? Which made no sense. And like, he's constantly standing offside. At some point, when the ref in the game decides to call it, it means they're getting moved backwards every time they make a play. It's just, I really want the Eagles to lose, but I can't see it.
Dan, could this be decided by the quarterbacks? Jalen Hurts has had 3 straight 100-plus rating games. Patrick Mahomes is currently running at his worst rating ever, a 96.7. Only 17 touchdowns, but 8 interceptions in there as well. Does it make a difference? Or is it won by different units?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. It does make it, and it will come down. It always comes down to the quarterbacks. It tends to come down to quarterbacks and who plays well. I don't think Hurts has been fit. I think the last couple of weeks, even before the bye, he was a bit gimpy, so he wasn't running as much. And then I looked at the Eagles' run game, and it's not been as effective the last 5 games before their bye. So I thought, why? Well, why is it not? And we talked about Trent Williams, right? Trent Williams affected the 49ers run game. When he wasn't in the game, their running stats were much lower. When he came back, guess what? Cam Jurgens, the right guard of the Eagles, has been out the last 5 games. And since that time, they've rushed the ball from averaging 180 yards rushing to 110 in those last 5 games. From 4.9 yards carry to 3.7. He's back this week. He's had the bye. He could have come back before the bye, but he came back. He's coming back afterwards. Will that make a difference? So I think him back and Hurts having a bit of time to rest, clearly, that makes them a dangerous run team. And I think you have to run the ball to beat the Chiefs. My concern with the Eagles is their secondary. It's dire. It's really bad. They are wide open at the back there.
The wide receivers they're up against is what concerns me. They have a chance to look decent because There's
Yeah,
not a lot there.
No, but I think, well, you're right, and the Chiefs need to prove it. And I think you mentioned Rashee Rice. He's the first name on my list here. He's got to step up. He's starting to separate himself from the pack, certainly from people like Tony. Travis Kelce, is Taylor Swift there? No, she's not. She's in Buenos Aires. He's been in Buenos Aires this week on the bye week, watching her in concert. So he's flown in and flown back. So she's not there. So his stats aren't going to be as good, are they? Because he's half as good when she's not there. But I think it's a night for Rice, and I think it's a night for Kelce. And I don't see how the Eagles stop Travis Kelce.
What?
I can't see anybody. The
Stops
linebackers
himself
aren't.
by wasting time travelling and not training, mate.
Well,
He's had a bye week.
do you
Bless
know,
him.
the stat here is Travis Kelce has had 31 more targets than the next closest person on the team.
Yeah.
He is Patrick Mahomes' go-to guy, and when times get tight, that's where the ball's going to go. It just feels like it's going to be a game where Travis Kelce has a big impact, Dave.
I honestly don't know. I think there's a big weakness on the Eagles in terms of their linebackers. I think is Dean still out injured, and
Nakobe Dean's still out.
Yeah, and they've been struggling to really bring in the level of talent that they want in that position. But their D line is just so strong that they can pressure Mahomes on the edges. They can pressure him up the middle, and he himself is definitely carrying an injury of some sort as well, right? Like, there's no way he's not. I don't know. I think it might be
Mahomes.
Yeah.
Is he?
I believe he is. I know he's not appeared on the injury report, but look at him.
No. Well, neither is Hurts, and he's definitely hurt.
Well, he's in a knee brace. Hurts it.
Yeah.
So, and so
left the last 2 games in a brace.
I think it's Mahomes'
And not on the
ankle.
report.
I think he hurt his ankle about 4 games ago. And if you look at his mobility, I don't think it's been there.
I agree.
So for me, it's literally one of those where, at the moment, I don't think the Chiefs have a chance against the Eagles. But I think that come playoff time, where things might be a little bit different from a fitness perspective, they've got a better chance. It's just the depth at this point in the season.
Yeah, I'm going Eagles. Dan?
Do you know what Occam's razor is? A mathematical solution finder, right? So when you've got 2 things that seem inseparable, pick the one that's got the least variables. Chiefs at home, Mahomes, Kelce, and a read off a bye. Give me the Chiefs.
Okay, cool. Dave?
Am I backing against the Chiefs because I don't want to get my hopes up if the Eagles lose?
It's like a double negative.
I don't know, are you?
I don't know. I'm going to go with the Eagles.
All right, good stuff. Right, bets, chaps, before we wrap this shindig up, what have you got for us, Dan?
I think there'll be some blowouts this week, so I'm going with the handicap. So I've got the Lions -7.5, Washington -6.5. Lions are playing the Bears, Washington are playing the Giants, San Francisco -8.5 against the Bucks, and Dallas -6.5 against the Panthers, and that's 6.5 to 1.
Nice. That's longer than you normally go for as well.
Let's go.
Dave, what have you got?
I've got a little roll up on touchdown scorers again. This time going for CD Lamb of Dallas against Carolina Panthers. Lamb has been in fantastic form of late.
Form.
Like, even Dak can't miss him, so that's saying a fair bit. And then Josh Jacobs taking advantage of the fact that I do think that the Raiders are actually going to be surprisingly competitive against the Dolphins. And I think Jacobs is going to be a touchdown scorer for them. I think if there's anywhere they can potentially get some ground against the Dolphins, it is using the ground game. So, yeah, Josh Jacobs in that one. And then against the Rams, taking advantage of that soft middle once more. We've got Seahawks, Kenneth Walker III even. And that is a treble, which is 7.01 to 1.
Good stuff, Dave. Thank you very much. We will put those up on the socials for you as well, so if you've missed them as you're going along, then you can definitely recap. It is time for this. Because we have reached the final 2 minutes. That's the 2-minute warning on Utter Punts, and it means that we've only got Punts of the Week nominations left. Dan, you're going first. What have you got?
Stephon Diggs. Okay, so when they got knocked out of the playoffs last year, he leaves the facility, doesn't leave with his team. Not great. And then we had all off season where they're going to make up. And then this week they were losing. They're obviously having a bad time, and he's clearly disgruntled on the sideline. And then his brother, Trayvon Diggs of the Cowboys, tweets out 14 needs to get up out of there. Now, there's no way he's saying that if his brother hasn't given the right to. And
Correct.
it's just, if you're going to be part of that team, don't say things like that. Don't have things like that coming up, because that's just not helpful. So, Utter Punt, get with your team or do one. Really.
Fair. Dave?
So, I was initially going to be calling out Deshaun Watson for going out injured and basically not being available at all for the Browns despite being on a contract. Bear with me a second. Are you aware of how much money he's being paid for not doing anything?
It's a lot of money.
It's a hell of a lot of money. So basically, in exchange for Watson and a 6th round pick, the Browns gave up 2022, 2023, 2024 first round picks, a 3rd round pick in 2023, and 2 4th round picks in 22 and 24. They gave Watson a fully guaranteed $230 million. Fully guaranteed, so it doesn't matter if he's injured, they've still got to pay him for the next several years. If they tried to cut him next year, it would cost them dead cap money about $138 million.
Yeah. It's paid him $93 million for 13 games.
Rather than blaming Deshaun Watson for something that he can't help, let's take a look at the man who decided to actually trade for him in spite of the dangerous allegations that he was going that were currently being let's say discussed publicly, and yeah, it's got to be the Bears. It's Freudian slip there, man.
Maybe.
The Bears, the Browns GM Andrew Berry, who I think I nominated 4 times last year. He's got away without being nominated once this year, and you're back around to him, mate, for much the same reason I was nominating you previously. What you were doing signing Deshaun Watson to that contract, in the face of many other people who are probably more worthy, have been handed $250 million for throwing what is essentially a pigskin, right? Yeah, Andrew Berry, you're an utter punt, mate. Utter punt, not just of the week, possibly of all time.
I love how the universe just balances itself up. 4 times last year, hadn't done it yet. All of a sudden, everything's coming back into balance. I thought about nominating Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, for the sign-stealing allegations that are going on. He has been banned from the touchline for the entirety of 2023. However, it's college football and not the NFL, so I couldn't pick him. So instead, it's a double nomination from me this week. Goes to the Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott and his special teams coordinator, Matthew Smiley. You may have seen this. The Bills lost to the Broncos with a late game-winning field goal. But here's the rub. The first attempt was missed. The second attempt got to be taken because they were called for a 12-man on the field penalty. This one isn't on the players. The reason that I'm nominating the 2 coaches is that they tried to sub out the existing defence for the field goal blocking unit, thus creating a complete melee of players and an extra man on the field when the likelihood of blocking the field goal in the first place is almost non-existent. It's almost non-existent. You might as well have just lined the players up. It was you that cost the game. It was you that have caused the problem. And it's you 2 that are masters of your own downfall. Utter punts, McDermott and Smiley.
And yeah, it's the offensive coordinator that's been
They've
sacked.
lost the job. It's absolutely mental. It's mental. They've been playing misery ball for weeks, and somehow it's the offensive coordinator that gets the blame when it's a special teams fault for losing it. Unbelievable. 100%. Punts everywhere. Don't forget to get your tickets for next week. We are live at the Manchester Bierkeller. Tickets are a tenner for adults with a free drink. They are £5 for students with a free drink, plus giveaways, and you get to come and say hello to us. We'll be watching both games from 5 o'clock all the way through until late. We will see you then. This has been Utter Punts. See you later.